we see you play NFL again?
We're still training, still pushing. So hopefully we just got to get one of these team owners to open up.
What would it mean to you to play NFL again?
I mean, it's something I've trained my whole life for. So be able to step back on the field, I think that would be a major moment, major accomplishment for me. Also, I think it's something that I could bring a lot to a team and help them win a championship.
When it's all said and done, we actually all are going to have a conversation about people like Colin Kaepernick. Those types of people who you've met in your life who do nothing but try to fit in with everybody else's talking point. You know these types of people. You've experienced these type of people. They suck. All they do is listen to you and a group of other like-minded people say something to try to spearhead a conversation, and then they come into the mix thinking, I will also say these things and it will work out because I am saying them in a more profound way that's gonna make everybody see that the issues are so important. And when you hear them speak, all you hear is a dummy trying to sound like the smartest person in the room. Colin Kaepernick, for I believe almost a full decade, is known for putting his knee on the ground and trying to speak candidly about various things happening in America. I still don't have a problem with any of that. My issue is when he has decided it would be in his best interest to criticize his place of work. Not just one time, not just two times, but numerous times over these past few decades, to the point where it's kind of a meme where if there's anything that involves a quarterback position, a job application, and somebody trying to get a spot on a roster in the NFL at the quarterback position, there are going to be people out there who say it's time to potentially call up Colin Kaepernick. There are people dedicated to the belief that Colin Kaepernick, after all of these years of not playing a game, can still go at a high level. And maybe he can. Maybe there's something he's doing while everyone else is at the combine, at practice in the offseason, and practice during the preseason, and practice during the regular season, and practicing during the playoffs, and practicing during the Super Bowl. Maybe Colin Kaepernick is going above and beyond to actually prove he's better than all of the various quarterbacks starting on the bench or riding the pine being the water boy. Maybe he's doing something. Oh, wait. Nothing he's doing is relevant to the conversation right now because there are quarterbacks being drafted and signed that are actually still in the NFL, proving to everybody why they can still be on a roster, while Colin is making shitty books, shitty Nike deals, and shitty hair care products. It's gonna piss me off if I have to go through the entirety of this NFL football season and one of these football teams' quarterback gets injured and they don't have a competent backup, and there are going to be mongoloids on Twitter trying to say that somebody should call Colin Kaepernick and give him a spot. Not only do these people still to this day ignore the objective reality that this dude is a third string at best and a backup for somebody at worst, they ignore that when he had the monumental chance to attempt to come back to the NFL, because this is the part that a lot of people don't get. He had the chance to potentially come back to the NFL and he turned it into a publicity stunt. Kaepernick is sending open letters to the Jets wanting to be signed. Joe, I hope this letter finds you in great spirits. Despite the less than ideal start to a big season, I'm wishing you, your staff, and the players a great game this weekend as you look to bounce back. I'm writing, of course, in response to the unfortunate loss of Aaron Rodgers. I know the aspirations this season were and still are to win a championship, and so that Hall of Fame-sized hole will need to be filled as best as possible to keep the team on a Super Bowl track. As of right now, Zach Wilson is charged with that task, and I wish him and the rest of the team the best moving forward. However, I know that there are currently depth issues at the position, and I've heard that the backup spot is likely to be filled by a veteran quarterback. As much as I would love the opportunity to fill that spot, I'm writing you in hopes that you can imagine a much more different approach involving me. I would be honored and extremely grateful for the opportunity to come in and lead the practice squad. I would do this with the sole mission of getting your defense ready each week. If I were able to fill this role for the team, I believe this allows for multiple things. One, it gives your defense the advantage of getting a truer read on the more mobile, athletic, versatile quarterbacks it will face in the weeks 4, 5, and 6, Mahomes, Wilson, and Hurts. I would consider it a privilege to be able to do this and would take on this responsibility with the dedication and passion as if it were a QB1 position. 2, this would also allow you guys as an organization to take a real look at where I am football-wise in game-like situations against an elite defense while also not putting any competitive pressure on Zach. I understand the importance of keeping him confident and focused as QB1, and I would only look to boost that confidence in any interactions that we may have if I was given this role within the team. In a perfect world for the Jets, Zach Wilson finds his stride and shows that he is able to lead the championship caliber team that you have put together to the Super Bowl. I believe a confident Zach Wilson has the tools to do this. However, in the event that this is not the case, I would love to offer you a risk-free contingency plan. I am sure of my ability to provide you with an elite QB option if, God forbid, QB1 goes down. However, I know that there may be naturally some uncertainness from you and possibly from others about my playing abilities. This plan, I believe, allows me to be a great service to the team as a practice squad QB while also giving you a low commitment chance to access my capabilities to help in any other capacity you may see fit. Worst case scenario, you see what I have to offer and you're not impressed. Best case scenario, you realize you have a real weapon at your disposal in the event ever you need to use it. In either of these scenarios, I would be committed to getting your defense ready week in and week out all season long, and I would wear that responsibility like a badge of honor. As a final point, I would like to add this. Unlike many of the veteran QBs that have been named in the media, I've never retired or stopped training. My training schedule has remained the same for 6 years, Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. training on the field and in the weight room. I've kept this training schedule without failure for the past 6 years in hopes that opportunity will present itself. I say this to give you some perspective on where I am physically. I have also attached a list of my references within the league that will vouch for my character, work ethic, and ability. Thank you so much for your time, Colin Kaepernick.
Let me start by saying I appreciate y'all coming out. That means a lot to me. Our biggest thing with everything today was making sure we had transparency of what went on. We weren't getting that elsewhere, so we came out here. It's important that y'all are here. Y'all been attacked for the last 3 years. Y'all continue to be attacked. We appreciate what y'all do. We appreciate you being here today. We appreciate the work you do for the people and telling the truth. That's what we want in everything. I've been ready for 3 years. I've been denied for 3 years. We all know why I came out here, showed it today in front of everybody. We have nothing to hide. So we're waiting for the 32 owners, the 32 teams, Roger Goodell, all of them to stop running. Stop running from the truth. Stop running from the people. We're out here. We're ready to play. We're ready to go anywhere. My agent, Jeff Nally, is ready to talk to any team. I'll interview with any team at any time. I've been ready. I'm staying ready. And I'll continue to be ready. And to all the people that came out here today to support, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. To the people that aren't here, I'm thinking of you. I appreciate you supporting from where you are. We'll continue to give you updates as we hear. We'll be waiting to hear from Roger Goodell, the NFL, the 32 teams. We'll let you know if we hear from them. Ball's in their court.
He made it about him. He made it to where people are going to look at him and say, you are an objective risk and nothing is of substance with you. For him to be interviewed by anybody and he's still got a smile on his face, he got some good skin, he still got that good hair. For him to sit there and say, oh, I'm working out and hopefully one of these teams realizes me and realizes what I'm all about. No! Do you realize these teams in the time since you pulled that stunt and since have actually gotten a little bit of a chance of quarterback. Who knows? Maybe as I'm recording this, some dumbass is going to look at the Vikings and say they need to call Colin Kaepernick, a guy who has not proven himself in any capacity since getting put on third string, is maybe going to be considered by the Vikings. No, a colossal dumb decision. He can go practice. He can go play some park ball. But in terms of the NFL, I got no hope for him. And it's not because of anything that maybe is a conspiracy theory about how Colin Kaepernick is treated unfairly because he's a black man and the owner's a white person and rah, rah, rah. It's because this motherfucker wants to turn it all into the Colin Kaepernick show. And I'm sorry, the NFL is already the no fun league. I don't need it to become let's all pay attention to Colin Kaepernick's prayer circle as he reads from a fucking book that pissed off a bunch of black women.
So Colin Kaepernick stated that he still would like to return to the NFL and that he is still training and pushing, and he's just got to get at least one of these NFL owners to open up at a certain time. And I can honestly say this. Do I believe that he was blackballed from the league? Yes, I do. Do I believe the protests had a lot to do with that? Yes, I do. Do I believe that the lawsuit against the NFL had a lot to do with that as well? Yes, I do. And do I believe that that botched showcase in Atlanta, where he moved to work out to a high school, has a lot to do with a lot of NFL owners not taking him seriously? Yes, I do. Now, was there a lot of controversy around that workout? Yes, it was. But I believe that they're holding that against him as well. But I also believe this. He hasn't played organized football in almost 8 years. And I don't think any NFL owners, regardless of how much you're training, you could be training with the Navy SEAL, they're not going to put you back on that field, especially considering with how Deshaun Watson was his first few years coming back after almost 2 years of layoff. So I don't think that teams are anxious to bring a guy who hasn't played in 8 years back, even as a backup capacity. I also believe this. Had he been playing in a league like the USFL or the UFL or even the XFL before it merged, or even the Canadian Football League, and showed him that he can light it up in either one of those leagues and he stayed close to the game and he played organized football during that time, I believe a lot of NFL owners will really look at that and say, we're willing to give you a chance. Come on back. Since you've been playing organized football and lighting it up in other leagues, we can potentially look at you as a backup. And if something was to happen where you're put into that starting position, we can entrust you to at least win a few games. I don't think a lot of these NFL owners or GMs or even scouts is looking at that right now as a possibility, considering that he hasn't played organized football in almost 8 years in any league. And I believe this. I don't want you to come back and make a mockery of yourself. I don't want you to come back after 8 years and they throw you out on the field. Your time is off. Your conditioning is not there as far as football wise, and your ability has eroded, and you're essentially put out there as a tackling dummy at a certain point in order to try to prove a point to the rest of the league. I don't want to see that happen either. So I think this ship has sailed at a certain point, and it's time to put it to rest, because after 8 long years of not playing any type of organized football, I don't think that the timing is there, and I think a lot of his reflexes and ability has eroded at a certain point. As we all know, you can train all you want, but until you are in that fire and you are taking the lumps, you are not really in football shape. And an 8-year layoff will definitely erode a lot of your ability and a lot of your timing and your reflexes. But let me know what you think in the comments. So less than 24 hours after being in the news for stating that he would possibly like to play in the National Football League once again, Colin Kaepernick is again in the news because apparently earlier this year, Jim Harbaugh extended the offer to Colin Kaepernick in order to join the Los Angeles Chargers for a place on the coaching staff. So apparently earlier this year, Jim Harbaugh reached out to Colin Kaepernick in early January about possibly joining the coaching staff and reconnecting with the same coach that he helped lead the 49ers to a Super Bowl with, so he could be in the NFL in a coach's capacity. He's still awaiting an answer at this point in time, but there has been no further movement as far as the hiring or the approval of this process. And I can also say it'll be very, very interesting, to say the least, to see him as a coach, depending on what capacity that he's in, especially if he ends up being a quarterback coach, considering how talented Justin Herbert is. Hey, if you want to take it back into the NFL, you might not can play anymore at this point in time, considering that it's been 8 years, but consider the following. Those who can. Those who don't, teach. And I think that him teaching a younger quarterback and the younger generation will be a hell of an opportunity for him to get back into the NFL. But like I said, this was earlier in the year. He has not yet gotten back to Jim Harbaugh at this time. But I think it will be interesting to see him back in the NFL in a coaching capacity. But let me know what you think in the comments.
Why is Colin Kaepernick still out here training to make a comeback in the NFL?
We're still training, still pushing. We just got to get one of these team owners to open up. I mean, it's something I've trained my whole life for. So I think it's something that I could bring a lot to a team and help them win a championship.
If delusion was a person, look, I'm all for believing in people's dreams, but you gotta be realistic here. You gotta do like the corner of your hairlines and take a step back and really look at the situation. They don't want you, Colin. We love you, but they don't want you. I'm glad you staying in shape and taking care of yourself, but know that it is just purely for your health. It is not to become a quarterback again on an NFL team. I would bet on myself making it to the NFL before I'd bet on you making a comeback. That's how little of a chance I think. And we love you. We love you. I'm just saying, look, I'm all for it. If at first you don't succeed, try again. But if at 8th you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try something new. Give it up. Give it up. Let it go.
And I have gone this whole time not mentioning the one thing that still pisses me off about Colin. It is the objective fact that he spent a considerable amount of time looking you, the individuals who are all about the people, in the eyes and said, hey, I'm with you. And you know, I struggle just like you struggle, because while I'm at the time a millionaire with all of this guaranteed money coming my way, I was actually a slave. And the draft, you know, where every ethnicity under the sun is vying for an opportunity to get drafted by a team so that they could potentially turn their circumstances into generational wealth. That is akin to slavery and auctioning off people. And how dare the NFL do that?
Before they put you on the field, teams poke, prod, and examine you, searching for any defect that might affect your performance. No boundary respected. No dignity left intact.
See, we have to stop all of this noise and we have to address it with the realness that it deserves. Colin Kaepernick, I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see him back in the National Football League. I believe he deserves an opportunity to be back in the National Football League. I believe that he was blackballed. I believe he was blackballed unfairly. I think it's a damn disgrace and a crime that he has been kept out of the National Football League this long. But where I've taken heat, and I will always take heat for this, because I will never, ever, ever change my position on this, is that in the end, not 2016 to 2019, but in the end, as of November 2019, when he had that tryout that the NFL organized and he elected not to show up and instead had that at a high school an hour and 20 minutes away, Swagoo, Mad Dog Russo, Molly, I said on First Take the next morning, it is over. Now let me break this down to y'all. Swagoo, Mad Dog Russo, in November of 2019, when Colin Kaepernick refused to show up, now mind you, let's keep this in mind. Most people don't sue their former employer and then turn around and try to go back to work for them. That doesn't happen. But Roger Goodell, NFL league officers, in concert with Jay-Z and others, essentially assembled this, organized it because the individual teams were scared that if they didn't pick him, they would get accused of racism or whatever it was that they were fearful of. Those were the things that I heard. So they didn't want to take on the individual responsibility as a team, which was why the league, for the first time in league history, organized the workout. All right? Tried to get him to sign a waiver. He said it's not the typical waiver a player signs. They said, of course it isn't, because usually a team does that. But this is the first time in league history the league is organizing it. And we have to protect ourselves from you because you just sued us, okay? But having said all of that, we go to 2019. Here's what I have a list for you, Swagoo. These are backup quarterbacks that played at one point or another the same season that Colin Kaepernick was trying to come back in November 2019 when he didn't show up for the workout. Brandon Allen, 3 starts for Denver. Jeff Driscoll, 3 starts for Detroit. Matt Moore, 2 starts for Kansas City. Chase Daniels, 1 star for Chicago. Brian Hoyer, 1 star for Indianapolis. Sean Mannion, 1 star for Minnesota. Colt McCoy, 1 star for Washington. A.J. McCarron, 1 star for Houston. Colin Kaepernick, a guy that took the team to the Super Bowl in the San Francisco 49ers. You trying to tell me Colin Kaepernick couldn't play? Of course he could play. Of course he could have been on a roster. All he had to do was show up. And I personally was told at that time, if the brother showed up to the workout because of public pressure being brought down upon the league and the fact that we were all watching, he would have had to throw the football in the stands to not have a job in 2 weeks. That was a quote that I received, doggy. He would have had to throw it into the stands to not receive a job. But he didn't show up. And now we fast forward to 2023. January 1st will mark 7 years that Colin Kaepernick hasn't been in the league. And in the year 2023, on opening day, just a few weeks ago, the NFL started 14 black quarterbacks. 7 of the top 11 paid quarterbacks in the National Football League are black. Those owners are going to use that as an excuse to point to, ain't about racism. We don't want to hear that. It's about the attention that you brought to our brand that we believe compromises the bottom line. And no matter how wrong they may be, the public evidently sides with them because the ratings have gone where, fellas? The money has gone where, fellas? Their coffers, has it dwindled? Has it diminished? Has it shrunk? No. Just like I told y'all in November of 2019, I said when he didn't show up for that workout, it's over. And that's where we are today.
He wants to be a part of that still. And the fact that there's going to be a mongoloid on all fours hawking his shit up is embarrassing. But it is how we say normal for people like this, to always want to uphold the right to fight for everybody and the right to fight for your skin color. You don't notice the people who are playing in your face. You don't notice when their weenie is getting nice and hard and it's dangling all in front of your face. Why? Because as they're dangling it in front of your face, what they're saying is, I'm for the people. I'm making sure that everything you're saying, I'm repeating so that I could fit in and no one looks over here and sees me as the problem. The issue with that is many people have documented Colin Kaepernick. Many people have spotted him out for what he is, a pretentious little rich boy who had the opportunity to get richer, but he blew it. And when he had a chance to redeem himself, he blew it again. Fuck Colin Kaepernick and fuck Colin Kaepernick's fans. I'm tired of dealing with this literally every football season. I just hope it don't ever occur with my Broncos. We are already never, ever getting a chance unless Bo Nix proves a little bit of something about himself. But I don't know, because I'm concerned because, we're getting players back and we got Bo Nix and he did good in his first preseason game, but it really don't mean much because it's the preseason. We got to see what you do on that field when the games matter. But that will have to be something we deal with, or I will deal with, in September. But in the meantime, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you all in the next one. And remember, it is bad to listen to people say things that tickle your ear as they're dangling their nuts in your face. Mwah! Goodbye.